Don Toliver has had some of the most unique and timeless productions. From insane samples to hard rock beats, one element has always been common throughout, and that's synths. And in this video, I'm breaking down 2 Don Toliver style synth beats, showing you the exact sound design techniques and synth tricks behind his sound. Starting off with this sample, I have a simple 1/6 chord progression, or in other words, a G sharp minor to E major progression. And the sound I'm using is one of my Multishots II presets, which you can find the free beta to download in the description. Then I layered it with a multi-key preset, again from Multishots II. And this is going to give the chord some crazy texture and movement, which plays out perfectly in a moment when I explain how I flip this melody. Next, I added some lead layers on top for some extra movement. After that, I exported the audio and reversed it. This results in a crazy textured soundscape because I focused so much on creating movement and randomness in the melody beforehand. Then, I chopped up that reverse sample to find the most textured and interesting parts that I could build around. This technique is used on both songs Leave the Club and Cinderella on the album Lovesick. From there, I then added in an analog sounding bass line. This glues everything together, as you can see on tracks like Time Heals All and Tore Up. Next, I added in some accents and textures to fill out the melody and to keep it interesting. After that, I brought in a lead using a delay setting that can be heard on songs like Embarrassed. To do this, you want to have a ping pong delay and make the track either mono or very close to mono. Finally, I pitched the entire sample down by 4 semitones, and this instantly creates a dark mood and gives it that Don style and gritty texture. And with all these layers together, you get a fully finished Don Toliver sample that's ready to turn into a full beat. And now for the drums, I'm going to be taking inspiration from the songs Embarrassed and Cannonball, specifically taking inspiration from the hi-hat and snare bounce, unorthodox patterns, and the use of combining 808s and synth basses. To start this one off, I'm using 2 different hi-hats. And I used 2 different snares to kind of bounce off of each other as a kind of a call and response. And instead of having the snares just like this the whole way, I delayed the second one by a whole step, and here's what those 2 snares sound like together. Then I added a bouncy open hat, which cuts itself off on the first beat, and I added a cowbell. And here's what all the drums sound like before the 808s and the basses. Then for the 808, the same thing I did with the open hat where it cuts itself off on the first hit, I did the same thing with the 808. Then I added a synth bass to fill out the open spots, just like on the song Cannonball. And with all the drums together, it sounds like this. here's the full beat. Starting off sample 2, I used a lush pad using only one chord, heavily inspired by the song No Pole. The goal here for this sample was to create a very atmospheric and ambient sound, which is another style perfect for Don. Next, I played an analog sounding lead, again using the same delay trick from before. This gives the melody a super catchy and melodic sound, perfect to accent his vocals. After that, inspired by the song Embarrassed, I added a simple guitar part. The finger-picked guitar adds a rhythm to the sample, since the melody before has no real progression or bounce. Then, I added some vocal chops, and the vocals here are being used more as a texture than a lead layer. This is because I added a special pan trick that moves the vocal left and right, and this technique can be specifically heard on the synth floater part in Embarrassed. From there, I then added in a deep, subby synth bass. After that, I added in a melodic piano run to go over everything. This adds an extra amount of movement and realism on top, giving the sample more life and more dynamics. Finally, I brought in one of my Multishots II multi-key presets. And this adds a final layer of movement and life to the sample, perfect for Don's more melodic style of song. For the drums on this, I took full inspiration from Donnie Darko, using sub basses with kicks instead of 808s, cowbells, slide 808s, and all-fit snares. Starting off with the hi-hat, we have a very boring, plain two-step hi-hat. Then, just like the first beat, I added 2 different snares, and I left that third beat open just like last time. It's very important to have bouncy drums over a sample like this, because if you had boring drums on a very open and non-rhythmic melody, the artist might not have much to go off of. After that, I added a clav kind of cowbell, just like in Donnie Darko. Then I added an open hat that cuts itself off from the first hit, just like in the first beat. And here's what all the drums sound like without any basses, 808s, or kicks. Then for the 808, I picked a nice and subby, flat waveform 808 instead of a traditional punchy 808. Then on top of that, I layered a simple kick pattern. And with this kick, I actually side chained the kick to the 808, so every time the kick hits, the 808 ducks. And here's how you do that. So on the kick track, you're gonna right click on your 808 and click side chain to the track. Then opening a limiter, in the limit tab, you want to turn all these 3 knobs down. Then in the comp section, you want to pick your sidechain insert, and for me that was insert 24, that's the kick. And you want to have a setting kind of like this, but adjust the threshold to your taste, but keep the ratio about 1:5. After that, I added a sliding CTM 808, exactly how they did in Donnie Darko. And here's what all the 808s, kicks, and basses sound like together. And now, all the drums together. And finally, the full beat. And that wraps it up for this breakdown. Hopefully you picked up some new ideas and tricks that you can incorporate into your own beats. If you want to mess around with some of the exact sounds that I used today, the Multishots II beta demo is in the description right down below. Appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.